What's up?
So far so great. Life is
Nice.
lifing.
So far,
Life is
so great.
lifing, and everything is being what it needs to be, really. Obviously, there are always certain hurdles and challenges, but I do my best to not let that kind of phase me and still just show up as a healthy, living human being who you know has autonomy, has rights, has all the free will to be able to make the right choices and decisions. I always make the right decisions, and so yeah, I'm following through with that and just being here, feel good. Yeah, what about you?
Cool. Okay, I want to talk about that, but I'm good. I'm good. Right before we recorded, first of all, I always forget. Welcome to episode 5 of Delusional Confidence with Em and Ida. I am Emily at Emily's.Rude Awakening on Instagram. Bless you.
Thank you.
And this is Ida, my lovely co-host at The Chilling Therapist on Instagram, and we're both on YouTube. Same usernames, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Okay, so welcome to episode 5. We never know what we're going to talk about. We just talk about what comes up, and it always is amazing and transformative and purposeful and impactful. So,
Exactly.
right. Okay, before we hopped on this call, I was telling Ida that I'm being called to figure out some shit in my life that I've been wanting to figure out forever, like for my entire life. So I'm trying not to put a lot of pressure on myself, but I've always wanted to, grow a lot financially. And that's always been something hard for me. So I'm getting kind of faced with that right now. Time, which you may know if you have listened to this podcast episode in past episodes. I don't believe in time, but it's important for me not to feel stressed when I arrive somewhere. So I'm someone who typically runs late, and I'm getting faced with that as well, to clean that up a little bit, to either clean up my mindset and really not give a shit, or there's this other part. I want to respect people's time. I want to respect others counting on me. So I'm being called to reflect on these things. And my mindset is phenomenal right now, I have to say. But yeah, I'm just being that is being presented to me. And it is time for me to figure those things out now. That's kind of just how I feel. So, but Ida, before we get into that, if we do get into that, this vibe that you have of letting things be, when I interviewed my latest podcast guest, she is an EFT practitioner, and she's really down for this too, like living in the present. She came from a really debilitated place health-wise, and just chronic illness. She couldn't tolerate any foods. She was in and out of the hospital. Just one of those situations where you're like, how do these folks not get mad at God? How do these folks just continue to be okay, this is we can try to figure this out now. I always wondered that, how, when you're borderline on your deathbed, how are you just, and you shouldn't be, you're young, how are you just let's just keep going? She found out a way to build up her health again after feeling so hopeless. And she's very much in the vibe of stay present with what is, instead of trying to look to the future and manifest and all these things. And I know that's not exactly what your mindset is. You're kind of just let things, just let things. So I wonder if your mindset, that mindset developed when you started learning about NLP, or if you've always had it.
No, I definitely haven't always had that. But I think I've always had this grounding energy around me. But I think for a while, again, we listen to society, and society is like, no, that's not normal. That's too relaxed, So I guess I recognize that it was always there. However, I think what made me, or what brought me this far, is more of my spiritual journey. So it's not even a mindset sort of thing. I think it's more where I am spiritually that's helping. I wouldn't even say that's helping with that mindset, because that's like the way I see things and the way I see life. It's funny because someone owes me money, a huge chunk of money, and my mom knows about it, my sister knows about it, and obviously when the person was coming for the money, when people need money, they were like very calm, collected, very like, listen, your money, I'm not like the rest, like you're gonna get your money, everything is like gonna be great, blah blah blah. And then I was like, okay, cool, I trust that, because it felt right, and so I just followed through. Even though my mom's like, you never do that, but I was like, it felt right, and so I just followed through. But why I'm sharing that is because my sister and my mom, literally every day, because it's been 2 months, I haven't heard from the lady, but then she was like, every Tuesday after I'd given her the money, she was gonna give me a bit every Tuesday. It's been 2 months. Fair enough, she said she has fallen ill and her son and stuff like that, but I'm super relaxed about it, super relaxed. It's my mom and my sister who are like, hey, like, you got to do something. She's going to take you for a fool. You need to act. You need to let her know that she can't keep the money. And I was like, well, if she decided to keep that much money, I don't think it's on me. It's on her. Because how are you going to be comfortable to sleep at night knowing that you've more or less duped someone that, with that amount of money? Like, I'm okay. It would just be something that I have to leave in God's hands. And mind you, when I'm experiencing this, I don't know why I am so calm about it. Because it's funny, as my mom and sister kept saying, hey, you need to, there was a point I picked up my phone. I was like, you know what? Maybe I should type something and let her know. But all of this was coming from my mind. Like, my soul didn't want to do that, because my soul just wants to chill about it. But then I was like, oh, maybe I should actually do something about it. And I typed a full long message. And then literally before I was about to send, my soul's like, come on, like, what are you doing? What's this? That's not who we are. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's fine. You did this intuitively, and just trust that everything will be sorted out.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And I just left it. And it's annoying because she's called me twice. She's like, you know what? Are you home? I'm coming. 3 times. And she still hasn't showed. But something in me is not reacting. Something in me is not acting how you would have it naturally, I guess. And I think this is a question that I ask myself quite a bit, or something that I tell myself. I'm like, I don't even know when enough is enough, in a sense that someone could ask me, okay, Ida, what would someone need to do in order for you to cut them off? I don't know. But I know when I need to cut them off, my soul will lead me and it will happen. And I have an example of, like, I used to have this guy friend who was super close, super close. And now we don't talk, not because I don't want to be a part of his life, but that's just how things just panned out. So he did something that really hurt me, really hurt me. And the funny thing is, if someone would have said, oh, you're not going to engage with this person anymore, I would have said, no, that's not true. But he said some things that were so hurtful. Literally, after I got off the phone, I wept. I didn't cry, I wept.
Wow.
And after I wept, I knew we were done. I was like, oh, it's unfortunate, because I didn't make that decision. That decision was made for me. And someone might be listening and going, what do you mean? It was just made for me. I just knew there and then that the relationship was over, and that it was gonna take something that I don't know to recover it. But if he did the thing, I would know intuitively and it would recover it. But he just hasn't. And I don't know what it is that he needed to do. You get me? So it's like, that's just how I kind of live my life. It's been 4 years. I haven't spoken to him again since that time. I don't have any ill will in my heart for him, nothing. Like, I still look at what he does. I'm still like, oh, you know, I'm super proud of him. He's done, you know, all these things, and he's been reaching out. Like, he recently reached out. He's like, hey, you know, I've been going to therapy. I've like turned my life around. I'm improving. It's so unfortunate that I lost you, blah, blah. And it still doesn't feel like that's the thing that should make me say hi. And I don't have any ill feeling, nothing, but it's just nothing in me wants to engage, you know? So I think that's this intuition gives me the confidence that I will know what to do when the moment comes.
Yeah.
And so I don't need to worry about it. But yeah, I think it's more a spiritual journey.
That's awesome. That's awesome. These topics are so, in a way, difficult to intellectualize.
Yeah.
But I know exactly what you're talking about.
Thank you. Yeah, I've stopped trying to intellectualize it, because before I'd be like, oh my God, people won't get me. It doesn't matter. If you don't get it, it's not yours to get. Fortunately, unfortunately. Yeah.
Again, it's another intuitive thing, because that's exactly what we're talking about. It's like, it's intuitive, it's felt, you know, it's felt, and it's yeah. Did you say known? No,
I was like, it sounds delusional.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like, it's kind of in a way another form of that, but it's like, it's known in a felt way. You know, like when you're talking, I know exactly what you're saying just from my own experience with my intuition. And that's why intuition can be so relieving and calming, because we don't have to try and think. It just comes up and we know. So when you're talking about this woman who owes you money and you're super chill about that, and you're talking about this guy who is talking shit to you, and you're like feeling the emotions about that, but I would stay still relatively chill. Like, there's no drama. You're just like, oh, well, we can't be friends now because I don't have friends. Like, you didn't say this, but like, this is how I'm observing it. It just is. Like I said, it's felt and it's known. You know that you won't be friends with people who will talk to you like that.
The funny thing is, I didn't even know that, I didn't know. Up till now, if you ask me, why didn't you talk to him after that day? I don't know. But something in me knew we couldn't engage anymore. But I don't know exactly what it is, because someone else could have said the same thing, because I've had people in my life who've said worse than he did.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've had people in my life who have done, you know, like worse things, but they're still, like, I didn't cut them off completely. If I see them, I'll still be like, oh, hi. But it's just something, it just felt like, oh, and how it felt was like, oh, that's unfortunate, we're done. And that was just it. But I don't know why we were done, but I knew we were done.
Yeah.
You know? And it's interesting, because it's like, for me, my life right now, I'm just allowing my intuition to just lead me. Like, and it's taking, obviously, practice, it's taking trust and a lot of faith, because sometimes my intuition be saying some stuff and I'm like, what are you on about? Yeah. You know, but you still got to kind of trust it and follow through and stuff like that, which is interesting. But yeah, I like where I am. It feels good. It's unpredictable, but I'm committed. In fact, the word I want to even use is not commitment. I'm devoted.
Yeah.
To that voice, to that guiding principle within me, which is God.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. And then that makes sense too, that you say devoted. And it always makes, to me, it always makes sense in hindsight. Every time I do something intuitively, even when it feels like an accident, like you said, I always make the right decisions. I believe that too. I always make the right decisions. When I'm back house sitting, last time I was here, I don't know if you saw this on my stories, but I did put it on my stories, but I want to tell it again because I want people to hear this, because I think this is a very human thing that we get to decide how we feel about. So the locks are a little funny here. And they're more traditional locks. So it's easier to lock yourself out. Like I've been house sitting before where they have a little keypad out on the door. So like if you lock yourself out, you can use the keypad and get back in. They don't have that here. And if you like turn the lock, you can like turn the lock and then shut the door. You don't have to stick the key in from the outside to lock the door. You know what I'm saying? So so it's like classic old locks. So I was a little bit like, okay, don't lock yourself out here. And the whole time I was here, I didn't lock myself out. But right before I left, because I left the key inside, but then I left my purse inside, and then I had already locked the door and I shut the door. So I was gonna be ready to leave and not go back inside, but I left my purse inside. And luckily, so obviously I was like, okay, as a, basically a mindset coach and someone in the self-development industry, I'm like, okay, how can I change when I realized what I did? How can I change how I'm feeling right now, basically? Because I was like, I'm feeling like I fucked up and I don't want to feel like that. And I know in the moment that like, I can feel those feelings. I can feel those emotions, but also like, is it even true? Is it even true that I fucked up? Is it even true that like it matters at all or it means anything about me? Like this is an old pattern and I know it's an old pattern. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to get out my journal and like journal the actual truth of what's going on right now and not make up stories while I'm waiting for the owners to come. So the owners were already like on their way back. It was the last day. So it like wasn't that big of a deal, but I was like not feeling so great about that because I'm like, damn, I feel like I'm preparing myself to be a homeowner, and it feels really good when things go smoothly. You know what I'm saying? Like it's all like God prepping me for this shit, So anyway, the point is, the owners met me to let me in to get my purse, and one of the owners, before I left, she stopped me and she said, "Hey, Emily, I just want to give you some extra cash because we really appreciate you doing this. And we wanted to give you something a little extra." Girl, if I didn't lock myself out, she would have never given me the extra cash. I don't think she would have like sent it with me in the mail. They gave me a check. Like they didn't pay me in cash to begin with. They didn't Venmo me or anything like that. I don't even know if they have Venmo. It was all a part of the process. And that was really amazing because I'm trying to kind of attract more money into my life. And that was such a good feeling. And that would have never happened otherwise. And we just never know. Like, so that's what I kind of wanted to bring that piece up too. Like, even when it's not even a decision, something just happens. I believe that thing is meant to happen. You know what I mean?
110.
Yeah.
110. So it's okay. This is how I've been talking to myself recently. But do you want to finish your thought? Or this is like a good, okay.
Go ahead.
This is how I've been talking to myself recently. So obviously, I didn't even know I was going to talk about this, but I'm talking about I've been experiencing some health issues that Em knows. I'm not going to go into details. And then for the last month, my knee, like initially was just like this tiny little pain. It wasn't even pain. It was like discomfort. And then over time, it's become more so much so that I'm limping right now. That's just by the way. And how I've been catching myself talking to myself is, wow, I wonder what made you choose in this time, like last year to now, to invite in, this health issue. Yeah. Like, I wonder why you said yes to that, but I know it's here to change something, but isn't that interesting? You actually said yes. Okay, at the end of 2022, we're going to have a health crisis, and that health crisis, when we're just about dealing with it, we're going to have this knee problem. what made you say yes? And I'm like, I guess that's why, I don't fully know the full picture, because if I know it, I may not, like what I'm seeing. But so I'm catching myself talk to myself in these spiritual ways because I truly believe that we said yes to coming on earth. I truly believe we said yes. And I truly believe we chose all the challenges that we have, because obviously we know the end goal. We know that, okay, this is what I want to achieve on earth, but in order to get there, I need XYZ to get there. So I kind of feel like we choose these little challenges, or like these little moments, to kind of remind us and bring us more into form and more into, alignment and more into who we are. Because the more these things are happening, the more refined you're becoming. Well, speaking for myself, the more refined I'm becoming, because it's like right now I'm not, reacting to things, especially in my life. I think right now I know that my growth has to do with, because at the moment in my life, there's only one person that can piss me off at the moment in my life. And when I'm talking about like one person that I'm like, oh my God, actually, is it one or two? Two people. And it makes so much sense, because like if I was sharing it with you, being transparent with you, only because I'm not ready to like put it live.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, it makes so much sense. And it's something that I'm aware of, and I'm like, man, these two, like the two that just piss me off. Like, but I also know that they're in my life to teach me more patience, and more than patience, to teach me more about myself, to teach me that, hey, without them, this is your state. So how can you still remain in your state with them, just doing whatever? How can you not react to that? Like, let's practice that, And so, no, it's interesting, but it's a journey that I feel, as you said, sometimes you don't decide certain things, but they happen for a reason, and they bring you back to more of who you want to be. Part of your $1 million decisions, this is a million, it's on the track, right? As you said, I'm inviting more money into my life. And in order to do that, you put this challenge in your way. Okay, I'm going to leave my wallet. Let me see how I treat myself when I leave my wallet. Am I going to treat myself how a millionaire would treat themselves? If a millionaire leaves their wallet, who cares? Yeah. They don't even worry about that. And the fact that you were even able to, like, in that moment, coach yourself into, you know what? How can I switch this? How can I? And you did. And look what you got out of it. More millionaire decisions, more attracting, a more attractive, what am I trying to say? Like, you're attracting more of who you are, which is this millionaire you're becoming,
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. What?
I'm like, it's beautiful to watch it unfold.
Thanks. I love that we get to do this here. Like, I feel like we're watching each other go through the exact things we need to go through to get where we want to be. And I just have to trust, to like sum up how I feel about all of that. And I agree with everything you were just saying. I have to trust that it is all happening for a reason. I have to. And I have to trust that the truth is not, oh, you fucked up. Because it never helps. It never helps. I'm talking about this. I'm putting out reels about this on like TikTok and Instagram. And it's amazing to see people, look, to each his own. I know that like there are different personality types. And for some people, they need to be like, okay, take accountability for this, right? I'm the personality type. I'm an internalizer. I'm very much like, how can I blame myself for this situation? And the answer is really to balance, the two of like, taking accountability, but also, wait a second, is this exactly the right thing that I should be doing? And is it helpful even for me to be like, this was wrong? I think that's fucking us up so much. Anyway, it's just amazing to see people defend feeling like shit. and make a place in their lives for that and a purpose in their lives for that. And a lot of, I don't want to say respect, but like it's just fascinating to see how people react when you tell them it doesn't have to be as painful as it is to a certain extent, right? Pain and shame and all the emotions serve a purpose in our lives, but I believe at a certain point, it doesn't have to be pain and shame continuously. And it's incredible to see people say, no, but it should be there your whole life. And I just think that's interesting. What's your thought on that, Ida?
It's not something that I've thought about. I've been listening to, your point of view, and I like it, and I see why you're holding that point of view. And I think the incredible thing with is like allowing yourself to try things on, and if it doesn't fit, putting it down.
Yeah.
But you just allowing yourself to try it on. So it's kind of like, I think I recently told you, I'm trying on, your idea of I actually wanted to try it on. So I was like, you know what, let me try this on and let me see, yesterday I caught myself having a bit of a dialogue. I'm going to go back to your question, a bit of a dialogue around the word want.
Okay. Love it. The words, Ida and the words.
Yeah. The word want. And so I was kind of like going back and forth with the word want, because want means something else to me, but I'm not going to go into that because I know, you're in the realm of protecting your space. So I won't bring that idea here.
I would say if you want to go into it, I will be okay with going into it. So for those listening, when I have a new idea that I'm not fully confident around, but it's my goal to be fully confident around, Ida knows I kind of like to earmuff myself to other people. So you might be saying, oh, that's ignorant. But if I know that it's something that feels really good in my soul and it's going to help me, I like to, like Ida said, I like to try things on and see if they fit. So in order for me to try things on and see if try a concept on and see if it fits me and it helps me, I kind of need to protect myself from people saying all this shit. And not like what you're about to say is shit, Ida, but just people saying a bunch of different things.
Definitely,
because it can confuse me. And,
exactly. The goal is not to challenge what you're saying. The goal is for me to also bring my perspective,
Yes. And even if so my point here is just that's a background. Ida knows she's an amazing friend. She knows that I do like to protect myself. So sometimes I don't want to hear any differing views on it. Again, this is another delusional topic. I think some people will be like, that's insane, but it works for me really well because I know how my brain works now. Anyway, but with the whole want thing, even if that evolves over time, I feel very secure in that. It's just been enough time, I think. So please go into whatever you would like.
Okay. So the dialogue I was having with myself is, okay, when I want something, it indicates to me that I'm lacking something, because I'm like, oh, I want this thing, and I'm lacking it. And so right now, what I'm trying on is like, obviously I'm the only this one person, working 2 social medias and then quarter working, I guess half working Delusional with you. And so there are times where I'm just tired. I want to like just sleep because I'm like, oh my God, I'm so tired. But then I'm like, no, but I want to post this. I want to, right? And so my dialogue was around, is there another word I want to use in place of want?
Yeah.
It's not bringing up lack. But then I was also like, oh, okay, but in this moment right now, when you say want, because it's all about intention, right? So I'm like, in this moment right now, right here, when you say the word want, it's not bringing up any negative, lacky feeling in me. So there's no need to change that. Like if I was saying I want this and it was bringing up this icky feeling in me, then I know that, nah, that word, but it wasn't. So I was like, okay, let it be, continue trying it on, see how it fits, and just keep rolling. So that's that with the want word. In terms of the thing with guilt, okay, share your perspective first, because I think I've heard bits and pieces on TikTok, but I think when you share it here and I hear it live, it's gonna make me tune into how first it feels for me and what my ideas around it are.
You're just a phenomenal co-host. You're a great co-host. Like you set everything up really nicely for like the people listening and just us talking. It's awesome. Okay, so my thoughts on guilt are that it's unnecessary after a certain age.
Okay.
So, and again, like our episode on sacrifice, this is a mindset. I could say it's like a mindset trick even. So I don't necessarily mean everything super literally, and I will explain that in a second. Okay. Overall, my thoughts on guilt are that we need it when we're young, maybe, probably. We need it when we're young, just to show that we can hurt people, and maybe it's not the best outcome to hurt people. And what happens when you hurt people? What do you say when you hurt people? You know, the idea of making mistakes and learning from them. Oh, that's how I don't want to treat people, because I realize that when I treat people like that, it doesn't feel authentic and it doesn't feel good. And it looks like they're also not enjoying it either. So maybe I don't want to continue on with that. So guilt helps us to realize that we're human and not God initially, I think. But after we have laid that foundation, it's interesting. Someone was commenting and hating on this viewpoint, but he said a word that really resonated with me. He's like, do you know what a conscience is? And I was like, oh, conscience, that's what I mean. This foundation that gets laid as a child, I believe, is like your general overall conscience of like I care. I want to treat people well. I want to treat people well. And sometimes I might owe people an apology. And sometimes I make decisions that in the future I would want to make differently. So that conscience is laid in childhood. So I believe once that conscious foundation is laid, there's no need for any extra guilt. There's no need for any guilt beyond that. So we grow up to be adults, and it's been years. So it's been years of having this conscience in my brain of, you know what, I want to treat people well. And yes, I am human. So that comes to me second nature. So as long as I'm treating people well and understanding that I'm human and ever evolving, there's no need for any additional guilt. You know, it's like the consciousness foundation guilt just like comes up very necessary, like in very necessary moments. And I can say, oh, okay, next time I would like to talk to this person differently. But any guilt beyond that, I don't believe is necessary. So the guilt of like, oh, I really fucked this up, or I shouldn't do that, or I should do this and this and this and this. Anything beyond what comes so naturally to me from childhood, I know is a fucking lie. Okay, so this is nuanced, right? Because it's like, how do you tell between your conscious guilt? It's like, if I have a constant voice coming up in my head of like, you shouldn't, this was really bad, you shouldn't do this, I know that's all fucking ridiculous, because the only point of guilt is for me not to treat other people unnecessarily like shit, or treat myself like shit, or think that I am above other people. As long as I don't think I'm above other people, as long as I like how I'm treating people, as long as I like how I'm treating myself, I don't need any other voices in my head of, oh, you shouldn't have done this, you shouldn't have done that. I know if these two things are completed and I believe that these things come naturally to me from childhood, then there's no other additional guilt needed. I don't need to find other ways to experience guilt. So does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Something came to me, I'm losing it, but that was going to be the beginning of my thing. Okay, it came to me. Okay. So in me listening to you, it's yeah, I was typing what came up, but in listening to you, I've realized how I feel about the concept, because I was like having my own like dialogue with you, because there are things I wanted to hear. Okay. So I find it interesting that when you spoke about guilt, you went to hurting people, the concept of hurting people. And once you said that, I was like, oh, that's interesting, because I don't think that's how I think about guilt. And so I wrote it down. I'm like, okay, I think sometimes we use guilt and shame, like we intertwine the two, we use it interchangeably. And as you're talking, I'm finding, or how I see the concept of guilt is that whenever I feel guilty is because someone's done something or something's happened that made me feel that I'm not who I say I am. Example, whenever I feel guilty, it's because maybe someone has asked me to do something for them. And for the first time, I've been able to say, no, I won't do it. Right? Then I start to feel guilty, because to this person and to me, I used to be a certain person. I used to, operate a certain way. Maybe in that moment, I used to be a people pleaser. So whenever this person will ask me for money, or whenever, this is an example, whenever this person will ask me for money or will ask me for whatever, I'll put them first and I'll just do it. And all of a sudden, I've come to a place where I'm strong enough within myself and within who I am that now I'm saying, no, unfortunately, no, I won't do that for the person. And I start to feel guilty. So it's like whenever I'm feeling guilty, there's a part of me that's like, I'm not who I said I was. That's what brings up the guilt for me, because it's like, oh my God, they're going to think I'm not who they think I am, or they're going to think I'm not who I said I am, because I'm not doing what I used to do for them anymore. Fine, there's an element of hurting them in there, because they are no longer getting from me what I used to give. But I'm not so much worried about that, because it focuses back on me that, okay, right now I'm feeling this way because I recognize that I'm no longer who I was to them, and I'm no longer giving them what I used to give them. Where am I right now? Right now, I want to say no. And I need to learn to regulate my emotion and regulate how I'm feeling right now in this moment. Regulate that emotion so that I'm grounded in my saying no. Then the guilt, goes away. So I get why you're saying we don't need, because now I guess it could be that why you're saying we don't need guilt is like what I've just done here, where I'm like, it's not so much about, oh, I've hurt this person for me. It's about, I'm no longer this person I was to them. And that's making me feel I'm on shaky ground right now. How do I stabilize? How do I stabilize within this to know that it's okay, because I'm a different person now, and that's okay. And ground myself in that being, right? So that's how I experience guilt, and that's how guilt shows up in my life. But it doesn't show up to make me feel bad. Whenever guilt shows up, it's reminding me that I am changing, I'm evolving, and I need to ground myself in that. Because if I don't, I'm gonna maybe feel the need to return back to who I was and continue to repeat old patterns, right? So that's how I see it. And then I put down here, because shame and guilt are normally used interchangeably, I said, shame, whenever shame shows up, it's saying I'm not enough. So shame comes on to remind me that, because it's like whenever I feel shame, it's like something has happened that has made me feel like I'm not enough.
Bad, yeah.
Yes, I'm not good enough, right? So again, reminding myself that, okay, yep, this thing happened. I'm feeling shame. But, sometimes it's also from the other, where maybe someone might say something, might shut you down or something like that. And then you go back to that, oh, I'm not good enough. But again, centering myself within that. So for me, these two emotions of guilt and shame, they show up to cement who I am in the moment. I think it's more like fire refining gold. So I feel like these two emotions are refining me and the person that I am in this moment, like this new person. And I'm going to obviously keep stepping into new identities as I, as I grow older, as I evolve, as I become more of me. And that's okay, being grounded within that. So that's how they show up for me.
That's awesome. I love hearing about that and how your brain works. It's like poetry. While you were talking, I was thinking, well, and I agree with everything. Like, there's nothing in me that's like, that is not correct, or, well, we know that we don't really think that about each other, but I mean, it hasn't come up yet. But there's nothing in me that's like, that is not right. I guess I don't look at it like that right now, but I love that outlook. Like, listening to you describe that is like, it was for me like listening to someone's content that I really respect, right? Where I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Like, yeah, I love that outlook. I would love to add that to my repertoire. Like, for me, I just look at it as guilt and shame. Anytime I feel guilt and shame, it's just not real. It's just something that I'm fabricating. So I like completely just like cancel it out. I'm just like, I am not attached to this. This isn't me. This is something that I am used to thinking in my life, but it's a story that I'm making up, and it just doesn't need to be there. It's like not even there. It's not even real. It's like I'm fabricating something. It's like I saw a ghost that doesn't exist. And that helps me just to be like, done.
Like, not spending too much time on it. And it's interesting because I will process it. But what I'm hearing is like, you don't even allow yourself to go there to process it, but I will.
I journal. I can't spiritually bypass stuff because then it doesn't go anywhere.
So, okay, because I think if someone, and I'm glad that I went into that, because I think if someone is listening to it, they're just like, shame, bye, guilt, bye. But you still, what I'm hearing you say right now is like, you still process it.
This is an interesting topic because, okay, well, let me say this, you guys. I spend about 4 hours. I mean, I'm doing some heavy self-development work, as I mentioned at the beginning of this episode. I do about 4 hours of journaling every day. Okay. I go to therapy. I have a lot of support mentally. I haven't gone to therapy and I haven't gone to breath work. I missed the last couple of weeks, but like overall, I keep pretty good spiritual hygiene, mental hygiene. I have a coaching program that helps me. So like I have a lot of support around me. So that's important to note. But if you are someone like me who has tackled a lot of their shit, you've done a lot of crying, you have done a lot of processing, you know a lot about your patterns. The work is likely never done, but like, you know why you're feeling the way that you're feeling, basically. You know what I'm saying? It's not like all this guilt and shame comes up and I'm like, oh, I don't even know what this is. Why do I always feel like this? I'm like, I know exactly what this is. I'm feeling insecure about being stupid or being unlikable. I know exactly what it is. Most of the time. I would say, this will be interesting to hear what you think. I would say that if you are at that place where you know your patterns and you spend plenty of time processing just whatever comes up in the day, I would say that you can just say, you know what, this isn't real. and move on, and eventually train your subconscious mind to be like, the guilt and shame that I'm feeling is not a reflection of reality. It's not a reflection of what actually is. It's cool, Ida. It is cool that you brought this up, because I'm just realizing that now, that yeah, spiritual bypass takes a lot of shit, and it's good because like we do need to process our stuff. But like, I'm realizing that, you know what? Sometimes if I get to a certain point, I do just want to make the decision that, okay, I don't have to sit with this for a couple hours every fucking time it comes up. I can just decide to move on at a certain point. And if moving on isn't working, that evidence will become clear real quick, because things will not feel good in my life. Things won't get better in my life. Things won't move forward in my life. I won't achieve what I want to achieve. So if I'm spiritually bypassing in a negative, limiting way, that will become clear in my life. But I would say that I don't feel like I have to sit and process every time I have guilt come up. That also can just be the way, like I have been an overthinker in most of my life. That's kind of how my brain works. Like, well, what about this? Okay, what about this little detail? What about this? And it's been part of my process to be like, you know what? I can fucking decide that this is not me. It's not real. It's not a reflection of who I am. And I know that the truth is, actually, I can have what I want. I am good enough, all the things. So that's my thought. What's your thought?
Yeah, so I think for me, it's not even about this is right, this is wrong. It's just about that's M's way and this is Ida's way. So for me, I find I love revisiting the past quite a bit. That's where I find my answers. So yeah. I'm the type of person who, something might happen and I'll record it on my phone so I don't forget, and I'll play later to process it. So how I process things is like, I have a very objective view. So I kind of like zoom out and watch the two conversations. I'm like, oh, okay, this is where I didn't. Oh, okay, I could have improved there. Oh, okay, this is what I can do better. And sometimes if I can't see, then I'll get a bird's eye view. Maybe I'll talk to my mom. I'll be like, okay, mom, XYZ happened. This is how I feel about it. What do you think? How do you view it? Because I want another perspective. Mm-hmm. That's just me, and that's how I process my life, and that's how I grow as a person. Hearing other perspectives and seeing, okay, this person didn't agree with me. That's interesting, because there were times where I could swear I was right. I'm like, nah, this is how I experience it. But then I talk to 5 other people and they're like, no. And I'm very mindful who I talk to. So I'm always going to people that I highly trust and I know are objective. I don't talk to people who are going to tell me what to do. Yeah. I talk to people who present facts. And I'm very, very mindful. So if you're listening to this and you're like, ooh, I like Ida's way, please, 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 please. Don't just go and talk to a total random. This person needs to have earned their space in your life. This person needs to have been a person who you can truly trust, who supports you emotionally, who will be very objective. Okay, not just, and I keep telling my friends sometimes, I'm like, I'm not that kind of friend that something happens and then you come, like for instance, you're having an issue with your partner and then you come to me and you feel like I'm going to backstab your partner with you. No, I want to hear facts and I want to give you my objective view. So those are the people that I go to, just by the way. So that's how I process things. So it's not something like, I'm spending time being like, oh, I wonder why this happened. No, it's not from that point of view of, oh my goodness, I did this, why did it happen, blah, blah, because I already know my patterns and stuff. But it's from a point of view of, oh, okay, you reacted there. That's interesting. I wonder why you reacted. I wonder why that particular word triggered you. Okay, let's look into that. Because for me, personally, I want to understand why that particular word triggered me, or that particular person, or that particular environment. It's important for me to understand that. But that's my way. And that's the beauty of like having really and truly, we should have like 8 billion ways of doing things, because we are now 8 billion people on this planet.
Wow,
we should
yeah.
have really and truly. There should never be a copy and paste formula. There should never be two people saying we do it the same way. Even if it's the same way, something should differ because we're all different, just like our fingerprints. So I love hearing other perspectives. I love, hearing people tell me how they see what I see. So majority of the time when we're having our conversations, I'm in awe because I'm like, wow, that's how she sees it. That's so interesting. That's always where I'm coming from. It's never, oh my goodness, like that's cool, or no, it's always like, wow, that's interesting. And I'm fascinated because I'm like, that's another human being expressing as God in a totally different form. Wow.
Yeah.
Because I truly believe we're all God experiencing, itself in different ways. So it's like whenever I listen to you, I'm like, okay, that's another way God is expressing itself, himself, herself. And I'm like, wow, that's incredible. Let me try that on. Does it fit? No, it doesn't. Okay. Yeah. That's not how this God wants to, express itself. But yeah, it's interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah. I love it. It's a beautiful way to see the world. And it makes sense. It just makes sense. We have all different experiences, and how we handle things is right for how we handle things in a way that feels good is right for us,
Yeah.
And with a lot of these topics, it's like overall, yeah, I was going to say like overall we agree, it seems, like overall there's so many similarities. Like even with the sacrifice thing, like there's some days when I say, when it comes up, I'll say we ended on that, like we do not agree. Like we do not agree. But if you look at it from different perspectives at the same time, it can be like, well, we have similar value systems in the sense of like we want continuous growth. That's a really great way to blanket all this stuff. Yeah. Both Ida and I want continuous growth. So how do we best find continuous growth,
Or how we get there isn't what's important.
Yeah.
It's not about how we're getting, and that's a beauty. Here we're exploring how we're getting there. That's all we need to do, explore. It's like, oh, okay, this was M's way, but M got there in the end. This was Ida's way, but Ida got there in the end. It's not about us agreeing or disagreeing. It's about us appreciating each other's way and just being in awe of that, just bowing to the God in you and being like, okay, I see you. That's your way. Do you?
Yeah.
Vice versa, and when we go and we bump our heads knowing that, okay, I've got M, I can always come back and say, okay, M, I tried it on, it didn't fit. This is how I'm feeling, vice versa.
Yeah. And that's beautiful. I love that. I am a huge fan of us kind of not agreeing in a way or seeing things totally differently, because like you said, it's so interesting, but I also just think it's funny. It's so comical and entertaining to me that like I can really see things, and that is 100% truth to me. And you can see something, and that is reality. That is just, it just is, and for me, it just is. And I think it's such a testament to like, we can kind of create our life experience, and it could kind of be whatever we want, because if two people can have completely different life experiences and that is truth to them, and that is just how life is, then you can kind of create it and customize it as you want.
Yeah. And something has been on my mind not this week, maybe 2 days ago. And I kind of want to bring it here.
Let's do it.
So I think when I did the journaling on my page, this is something that kind of came up for you when you read it back to me. And I was like, ooh, I kind of resonate with that. That resonates with me.
Yeah. Can you explain the situation for everybody?
Yeah, I'll go into that. So we were journaling on, which part of ourselves we're afraid of being seen.
Can I just say, excuse me, let me just say real quick. This is genius. Ida went live the other day And it's like a journal with me live journaling session. So everyone can fucking join on Instagram live and journal with her live. Like, how genius is that, you guys? Like, I happen to be online as it often works out. And I was like, that's exactly what I want to do right now. I was like, just starting my day. I was like, I was making oatmeal. I was like, I want to journal with Ida. And it felt so nice to just have her energy there. And, you know, she has like the therapist mind a little bit too. So she's like, yeah, notice if these things are coming up. Oh, and something you said, I'll let you get back to it, Ida, but I just have to highlight this.
Part. Was it the doodling?
Yes, the doodling part. She's like, if you notice yourself doodling, just like take note of that. And I was like, for me, I didn't have time to write this in the chat, but for me, it's thinking about sex. Like I'll start, right? It's like super spicy, but so, it's so subconscious, like so therapeutic. It's so therapy. It's so therapy to be writing about something difficult and then something sexual comes up. It's just the brain has the wires all mixed up, or I'll just, what's that?
Yeah, I was like, the brain has a way of protecting itself because it's like, oh no, can we not go there?
Yep. And what would feel better? Like,
it's like
exactly.
This would feel better.
So when you wrote that, I was like, oh my God, totally. And I kind of, you know that like, okay, I'm getting distracted, but like, sometimes I'm like, should I follow that feeling of sexuality or should I go back to journaling? And that was kind of a nice little reminder to like, well, let's see what happens if I don't follow the sexuality and go back to what I'm journaling about. That was so cool. But anyway, I just wanted to say, it's amazing what Ida does. I don't know if you're going to do more, Ida, but like, if you see that Ida's on,
I want to do it every Friday. It might look different.
Yes.
I'll just, be led, but I'm really looking forward to doing the next one tomorrow.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
I'm excited. But yeah, so something along the lines of afraid of, oh no, what came up for you? Something along the lines of like being afraid that when you become successful, people
okay, so the question was what I don't remember your exact words, but it was like,
what are you afraid of being seen?
Yes, exactly. And when I think of being seen, I think of like being famous and having millions of viewers on my stuff. And what came up for me was, I'm afraid that people are going to say some shit to me that will degrade the self-worth that I've tried so hard to build up and that I have worked so hard to build up in the past couple of years.
Yeah. And I was like, that resonates with me quite a bit, maybe not from the perspective of like self-worth, but kind of like thinking about, but I'm already preparing myself. And one might be like, oh no, don't think about negative stuff. It's part of it. It is part of success. Like whenever you're climbing, there's always that one person who's like trying to pull you down. So I think it's best to kind of prepare your mindset for it than like, be like, I'm never going to experience trolls. We're going to be okay, But anyway, it's funny that came up because within this week, I happened to come across an ad that was sponsored on Instagram. And it says, steal the holistic psychologist content strategy. And so I was like, oh, that's interesting. What's, because she's got 6.1 million followers on Instagram. Wow. She's like one of the biggest when it comes to like therapists. In fact, she's here and most therapists are like she's made it. She's a celebrity. Okay. So for me, I was like, oh, this is interesting. I wonder what her strategy is. And I saw that particular, a week prior to that, I had seen that, that same ad was rolling. I wasn't interested, but I saw the amount of comments. It was like something like maybe 20 or 30 comments. And this time round, there was like 500 and something comments. So I was like, whoa, what changed within a few days? What's happened? So I started going through the comments. And majority of the comments were attacking the holistic psychologist. Like I'm talking bad, but these are things I had never even heard of about her. People are like, or, you know, she's profiting off like colonization. She's like all these stuff that they just went and dug up about her. And the whole thread is like negative, 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 negative. And then every now and again, you see one person who's like, no, but she's changed my life, because most of the things that she teaches were like therapy on steroids, but she was able to bring it down to like everyday people, like all the jargons in therapy. She was able to break it down to everyday language, and it makes sense. So that these were like the people who were coming to a defense, but these people were like maybe 10%, and 90% were bashing her, you know? And there was a point she came to comment, because a lot of people were tagging her, hey, this lady wants to steal your content, blah, blah. And she came and she commented and she said, I don't mind if anyone wants to steal my content, as long as it makes you thrive. That's what's important. Go for it. But then I started to think, I was like, wow, you know, this is similar to what Em was saying, which a part of it resonates with me too, where it's like, I think I'm more afraid of like her way, where it's like, you're really pouring out your heart. You genuinely, like, this woman, I don't know what she does behind closed doors, but from her content and from me hearing her, she started a whole movement of self-healers, like teaching people how to heal themselves. And it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And she is like, it's kind of like the same concept of Jesus, like the same people who are like, hallelujah, hallelujah, were the same people who were like, crucify him.
Yeah, right.
They were the same people who were saying, Hosanna, yay. And when it came to kill, they're like, yeah, crucify him. And the same thing was happening here, where the same people who were appreciating her are the same people who are like, no, crucify her. And so it got me thinking a little tiny bit. I didn't want to process it too much because I wanted to bring it here, but a tiny bit where I'm like, oh my God, like, first of all, how is she taking this? Because this came out of nowhere. And apparently she had a massive attack in 2018 as well from people from the internet. That died down and it's risen again.
Wow.
So I'm like, wow, like, imagine trying to do all this good in the world and being attacked in this way. How is she? I hope she has a good support system supporting her right now, because some of the comments, I was hoping she never read them. Yeah. Because I'm like, oh my God, like, how do you come back from that? You need such a strong, like, how do you bounce back from that, you know? But I think one of the things that were going through my mind is, again, delusional confidence. She was delusional enough to go against the norm, which is therapy as we knew it. She turned therapy on its head and said, you don't need any therapist, you can heal yourself. Like all these things that all these jargons, let me break it down for you. Use it on yourself. Wow. And see what happens, right? So she was delusional enough to do that. And well, I think she started 2017. Come 2023, 6.1 million followers after. Woo-hoo-hoo! She's like being targeted in a brutal way, you know? And so I guess it's not even a question. First of all, I guess, how do you feel about that? And does being delusional come with these sort of backlash or these sort of hateful, I guess, because I guess the more I was reading the comments, I was more like, who wouldn't love to be in her position? Who wouldn't? Like most of the people commenting, if you could chase your dream like that and be where she is right now, wouldn't you like that?
Oh, you bet your ass they would.
Right?
That's why.
So why aren't we celebrating that?
Exactly.
Why is she being bashed for going after her dream and achieving it with flying colors? And funnily enough, I don't know if she knows human design or not. Looked into her chart, listened to other people reading up on her chart. She's living her design to a T.
Wow.
To a T. Whether she knows it or not, she's really, and she's gained so much success from it. So, there was a part of me that's like, wow, it's not going to be an easy task, but I also know it's not difficult. But I guess along with the first question I asked, my second question then is, should one, when one is going on this journey of being delusional about whatever they want and working at it, already that comes with its own mindset challenges, right? But should one also be preparing for what's about to come, or we shouldn't even worry about putting energy into that and just dealing with it as and when? But then my counter question to that is, if one is dealing with it as and when, do you have the mental fortitude to be able to fight that kind of battle at that kind of level? 500 comments talking shit about you with 1% defending you.
Yeah. Oh my God. I love this topic so much. Remember, was it our last conversation? I think it was, when I was like, in the future, when we have millions of views on these videos, I'm gonna say something now for you guys. So hopefully we won't have as many people hating on this, because I could feel it was like a sensitive topic. And we talked about it for a second. So it's really cool that this topic is circling back around. And I would go so far to say we are being prepared. We are being prepared by God. But I love this topic because it has come up so much in the show. So I only watch basically one show, but I love the Impulsive podcast. It's a really good way for me to study famous people. And we've talked about Logan Paul in here, but they're very open. It's not even like I love everything about these guys. I kind of study them. I'm like, they're so successful fucking around on the internet and just doing whatever. How? What is the key? How are they? What is the common denominator between all these people? And then they have whatever. Okay. So I'm watching this show. Logan Paul has so many haters, so many. I mean, he's like been canceled, I don't think it's as bad as Andrew Tate. Is that the guy? Yeah. But it's because he's not as he's not as delusional. I don't know. But anyway, he has a lot of fucking haters. And I thought it was just like, he did one thing in Japan. I don't even really know what that was, but he made, whatever. He did something that caused a lot of hate in Japan. And then he apologized. And then I thought things just kind of get better after that, but people still just hate who he is, to the point where, they talked about it so much. I wasn't even reading comments. I try usually not to read comments, because I feel like the vibes are pretty bad in there. And again, it's I want to just protect my energy, and even if it's about someone else, but I do what you do, Ida, too, where if I want to learn more about what people think about someone, I'll read the comments. So I did that one time on the Impulsive show. Mostly people they will watch the show, but they will hate on him the whole time. Right? It's so weird, but I have a theory why, and probably Ida, why too, just being a therapist and
I
being
haven't thought, it's probably somewhere in my conscious mind, but I haven't thought of it. It's probably somewhere, but I haven't thought of this question before. So I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
Cool, man. This is such a cool topic. I love it. So I read through, and I'll get to that because I have a theory, and then I think bouncing off of what you have to say, I'll learn more. But yep, comments, they all hate him. I actually, on my dating profile, you can do polls now on the dating, and you know how I love polls. I'm always polling. It's perfect for me. I love polling my Instagram audience. So I did a poll on my dating profile, and I said, which person would you pick? Who is the best? Joe Rogan, Logan Paul, or Snoop Dogg? I always do ones that I wouldn't be able to pick. I would pick Joe Rogan or Snoop Dogg, but Logan Paul is also awesome. I don't know. So, and Snoop Dogg is I try to trust almost everything he says, because he's so spiritual. Everything he says is just so fucking smart. I love his whole attitude towards life. But anyway, the point is, I put a poll on my dating profile, and I have one of the dating apps, Hinge, where people can everyone who likes me can leave a comment so I can see everyone's comments on my photos or my poll, even if we don't match. So it's been fascinating because you would not believe the amount of people that are like, why is Logan Paul even on that poll? Or like, that's an obvious no. So many people hate him. And I'm like, oh my God, he doesn't even seem like that bad of a guy. Like, I'm pretty neutral, but so he gets a ton of fucking hate. And they talk about it a lot on this show. And that kind of tuned me into that. It's just a thing. It's just a thing when you have a lot of people following you. But I want to go into that too. But one other thing I was going to say, okay, also on his show, the rapper Logic came on. I don't know if you know Logic.
I think so.
Okay. He's a rapper. He has like probably 4 million followers or something like that. So like he toured with Wiz Khalifa. So like he's quite big. Mm-hmm. He had a kid who's like maybe a year old. They were talking about haters on the podcast that he was on. And Logic says, yeah, I had comments that said, I hope your kid dies. I hope your kid dies. Like, your wife is ugly, which is a little bit more like obvious. People would say that, but I hope your newborn baby dies. Like, can you imagine? So when we were on the live, you and I was journaling on this, that came up. I was like, how would I handle that? And I'm also, I'm also coming from the spiritual realm where I'm like, don't curse my fucking kids, like, you obviously have some mental shit going on, but like, don't curse. I kind of get it in my head that they will curse, and that's only as true as I make it. But that's just something I'm still unlearning in my spiritual process, that like, people can't curse me, but like, it's still kind of, I get a little superstitious. So I'm like, how would I handle that? How would I handle that? Or I know that people have the capability to say the thing to me that I'm a little bit self-conscious about to make me feel unwanted, but it was cool. Okay, I'm going to tie all this together in a second, but it was cool when I was journaling on that to realize, like, I'm so afraid of people degrading the confidence that I've built and the stability that I've built in my life. But whoa, hold on a second. I have built this confidence and this self-worth and this stability slowly over time, which makes such a solid foundation. Like, it's still been years, right? So it's not so fragile that people can just say one thing and take me backwards on my self-development journey. That doesn't happen. And look, that doesn't happen for these famous people either, because I have looked and listened and watched them, and they're like, they all struggle with that, like they all, everyone that I've seen talks about it says, oh my God, yeah, it sucks. Actually, not everyone, but most. But they're just like, okay, well, it's happening. So what am I going to do about it? Am I going to let it ruin my life? And I'm sure some people have, but all of these guys haven't, and they get the worst hate. Like, people are watching the show and commenting. Okay. So I realized that like life goes on. And so how do I want to handle it? And this idea, Ida, of what you're saying, like, should we be preparing ourselves for it? Or is that just putting us in a mindset of, this is going to be bad, let's just prepare? It's like our periods, we get told now these days, we get told they're going to be horrible. We get told childbirth is going to be horrible. Rosalie Tolentino did a podcast together on this, where she was like, our whole lives, she has like 4 kids. She says, our whole lives we get told that childbirth is going to be horrible. And it was for me the first time, as in it was so painful. But then I started to switch my mindset and it wasn't so bad anymore. So hold on a second. Wait, maybe there's a narrative about, you get, the more followers you have, the more hate you have. I would recognize that as a narrative. But at the same time, acknowledging that I'm still a human and I'm not perfect. I wasn't made to be perfect. I'm not just going to say, nope, I'm never going to get any haters. I still don't know if that could be the case, if that's the case for anyone, but I want to just do what I do in my self-development journey when I want to learn more. And that is study people who are already as successful as I want to be in the future and see how they handle shit. Like, I don't think that I would look at Logan Paul and be like, okay, I'm going to have all of the scandals that he had. I'm going to have all the haters that he had. No, I don't believe that. I just believe that I will prepare myself differently and I'll make different decisions, and I won't. I don't think that a bunch of hate has to come with fame, because I think everyone has varying levels of hate. So why? You know, like Amanda Francis, she's had hate groups started about her. And every time I hear about that, I'm like, that just sounds like a lot of drama. Like, that's a pattern of drama. And not to say not to talk shit about her or anything like that, but like, some people have high drama. Other people just have like some shitty comments, but not like, it's not like this huge thing, you know? Because yeah, we can go and look at famous people's comments. Okay. And I have strategically. So I recorded a lesson in the Type B Business School about haters, because I'm so fascinated with this topic. And I believe that I am already on the cusp of, I mean, I have a whole theory to it. This is how I am deciding to handle it. And we'll see how it evolves. But so far, I'm loving it. Even now, Ida, like, I didn't have that many haters a year ago. And I would say that all the time. I don't really have haters, but I would always say, I don't know how that's going to change as I get more followers. Now, I don't have any like repeat haters, but I just get some shitty comments. Whenever I talk about, I believe, really empowering stuff, that's when people kind of like shoot back. But something I have realized is that my haters help my algorithm so much. My haters comment, they're dedicated to commenting. And if I comment back, they will comment back. And every time they fucking comment back, the algorithm is benefiting, and they are helping my business so much. Like, I am so grateful for them. Do you know, Ida, how many videos I've posted and like, it started doing really well? Like, some comments, especially the raw meat stuff, they're all haters. Like, they're all haters, but I have like 20 comments on the fucking video. So it gets more and more and more streams, and it gets to more and more people who are vibing with it. So my whole, not to like give away everything in my lesson, because I really plan this out really well for my students, and I don't want to degrade the program for them, but like, I realize that, you know what, if I have the haters, fuck it. Like, maybe it will help my business. And also realizing that like, people who comment and spend their time hating on people's shit, I don't want to be gaslighting, but like, there is something in me that knows that those people aren't mentally well. Like, those people aren't healthy. I've never witnessed someone that's really healthy, like truly healthy.
Someone else's child should die. That's, yeah.
They're like, that person, in my mind, they're mentally sick. Like, you're just talking with someone who is mentally ill. So my strategy is to completely, like, kind of like, as you say, I'd like, let it be. Also mix that with the narrative that I don't have to have more haters and all this drama if I get famous. And when I do get famous, I can just acknowledge that they're really helping all the eyes. Because again, the delusional confidence thing, Andrew Tate's the most Googled person ever. He's still seeming to be getting everything he wants. So does it really matter that people hate him? He gets to decide that. So if people are going to like talk shit, it's an amazing business model for half of the people who look at you to hate you, in a way, right? Because they are dedicated, they care. And that's another lesson. That's like one more thing that I'm done. I'm so passionate about this. Another part of my haters lesson in the Type B Business School is like, okay, first of all, like, you decide how you want to look at it. But also, you are creating content that people feel things about. Like, people are reacting to your content. Isn't that amazing? For me, it feels way better. I don't know if this is like sociopathic or like somehow weird, but like for me, it feels better for people to react strongly to my content, even if it's in a negative way, than no one to react at all. It's like that someone had a plant experiment, you know, one plant they didn't touch, one plant they sent out hate to, one plant they sent out love to. The one that they didn't touch did the worst. So I'm not saying that that's necessarily functional or not way of thinking, but to me, it's like, I know I've had to have been triggered at some point in my life, and that was the start of a great transformation. So if I'm going to be the one to trigger people and they say they fucking hate me, but maybe later on, just like how I said I hated people way back when, and I'm like looking back on that now, I'm like, that was what I needed to hear in the moment. I can step up and be that person for some people. So I think, to me, to sum it up, it's like a total mix of like, I don't have to have the narrative that I'm going to be crippled by haters, and I get to decide maybe it's not as bad as I think, and maybe I shouldn't take it so literally. All right, Ida, I'm curious to hear what you think about all this.
Wow. Yeah, no, soaking it in. It's a very, very interesting perspective. Wow. And I see it all. I see it all. It's like, as you're talking about it again, I'm thinking about, you know, Jesus going on the cross when they're like, crucify him, and him rather, you know, like, as you said, all that hate, because then more people are like, oh, who's this person?
Exactly.
Who's that person? You know, it creates more curiosity, which is interesting. But yeah, I like your outlook on, yes, being prepared for it, but not consciously like spending energy on it. So it's kind of like, oh, okay. Or then again, you can also decide that that's not, you know, the type of person that you are. You're not the type of person who attracts haters, but clearly you said there's a part of it that, you know, activates you.
Oh my God. Okay. I'm just going to say this because whatever. I think still in the lesson, there's more, it's more fleshed out, but I got to talk about what's in the lesson, because I got to say, Ida, I do feel like my outlook on this is pretty genius.
Okay.
So first of all, I set up like 6 different points of why haters are actually helping us. So there's that whole thing. But one of those points is the activation that I feel when haters comment. And I'm like, you know, the first thought in my mind is probably like, fuck you, you don't know me, blah, blah, blah. I use that energy to create phenomenal content. Like somebody says something like, oh, you shared an image of a rancher who's a transvestite and I'm not following you anymore. Like that happened to me. So I got on stories and I was like, look, you don't have to inform me that you're going to be unfollowing me, because if you want to unfollow me, then you should unfollow me. And enough people saying that they're unfollowing me will still never, ever get me to change my content.
Yeah, I saw that content. Yes. And
that was created because of haters. Some of my best content has been created because of haters. So to me, I can utilize this energy. I can utilize this reaction, and it kind of becomes this, it's like, it kind of becomes this thing of like thanking everyone in your life who has hurt you because you grew more from that, you know?
That's very interesting. Wow. Yeah, no, so going back to the part that like it actually, like you're able to alchemize that energy. You know, there's a form of alchemy that goes through there. Whereas I'm like, how do I deal with haters? I don't react or respond.
Yeah.
I just watch, and I just like, I don't acknowledge it. I just like move on, which is so interesting. So as you were talking about how, and I even saw the light that came in you when you're like, it activates me. Again, it's not about being right or wrong. It's about what gives you energy.
Yeah.
You know, what gives you energy? And it's like, for me, talking or responding or reacting back to that is like giving my power away. That's how I see it. And so it's kind of like, oh no, I'm not going to give my power to that negativity. Like, I can only give it to, like, for instance, if we're talking right now and people are typing, yeah, you fucking idiot, blah, blah, blah. I don't have energy for that. Because once I, focus on that, I lose my train of like, I'm going to lose my energy. It won't activate me the same way. So I need to watch it, acknowledge it in my heart. Oh, that's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And then keep it moving.
Yeah.
And whenever I say, oh, that's unfortunate, it's not even for me. It's unfortunate for them, because I'm like, oh, it's unfortunate that, like, instead of soaking up the knowledge, like you're here talking about my nails, like, listen,
Right.
soak up the energy. Like, how could you not, how could you pick? It's kind of like putting, two things there, and it's like, pick, and then you decided to pick the shit one. Why? Oh, come on.
And that's the thing too. It's like they're like, it feels weird to say this kind of as a blanket statement, but I'm pretty sure it's true. Anyone's who's hating like that and spending their time doing that, their life isn't going that well for them. So that's also unfortunate, Yeah,
it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
Girl, so Gary V came on the Impulsive podcast, and that's exactly how he approaches it. And let me just say, that makes total sense, I would say, for so many people. Sorry?
Gary V, no, let me hear it. You said it's similar how he approaches it your way. He approaches it your way.
Okay. Gary V approaches it your way. And I would say plenty of people will be totally fine approaching it your way. Just simply ignore them and like don't start any drama. Don't keep any drama going. I would say that's like that is also such an intuitive way to just like detach from it. Like, don't even
human design way. Because Gary V is a projector. He doesn't have energy.
Haters the same way. This is
and so I wonder how, be interesting to talk to another generator and see how they handle haters, because you guys you have energy, so it's like
it literally gives me energy. It's weird, Ida. It does. It gives me Amanda Francis is a generator, and I have noticed that she kind of does a similar thing. She doesn't, I really don't want to speak for her, but she seems to get very upset at the haters. She's just said that openly. She gets really like, how could you fucking say that? I don't get upset at them. I get like activated as like a human would, like, okay, that's shitty that someone said something shitty and misunderstood about me or whatever. I feel misunderstood. Whatever, that part of me, inner child or whatever, gets activated. But then immediately I'm like,
that's a part I love, where you transform that energy and give it back.
Exactly.
In a positive way.
But Amanda has a workshop that is called Turning Shit into Gold. And it's about how to deal with it. And so literally, it's like, not literally, but like the name is so perfect. It's clear, I don't know if she does this consciously or not, I'm guessing because of her workshop, but it's clear that she makes content. She's like, a lot of people are leaving these shitty comments, and let me tell you why this mindset is fucked up. And she makes great content out of that. Anyway, she's a generator. She kind of does the same thing in her way. In my way, like, just by me observing that, I'm like, it still feels like there's a lot of negativity around it, because it's like, oh, fuck you, let me write this content. For me, I'm like, thank you, haters. Thank you so much, because you're bringing so many views to my page, and I have this beautiful platform to speak out about, and these posts always do so well when I do that. And one more thing. Okay. So I do respond to them. And again, not really like a sociopath, but like a little bit, because I'm just fascinated with how the conversation can transform. But also, it's not sociopathic in the sense that I just see them as a human. Like, I've said really shitty things to people before. I had a big alcohol problem. I was fucked up all the time. I said some really disrespectful stuff to people before, so I can see them, and I can see that they just want love. They just want attention. And I've proven that because I will respond to them and say something like, call them my friend, and their whole demeanor changes.
Yeah.
Sometimes even to the point where they're like, you know what? Thanks for being so cool about this. I really appreciate that. That's happened in the DMs before. And that just, Ida, that on a more profound level gives me so much hope in humanity. You know, I think a lot of people don't even think, or maybe aren't capable, but like don't even think what would happen if I respond in a really loving way. And I'm like, not necessarily the bigger person, because I don't like to think of myself as higher than other people, but like the person who is a little bit more calm in this moment. Then one more thing. One of the guys on the Impulsive show says they get all these haters. They respond to one of the haters, and the haters respond by saying, oh, I love you so much. Oh my gosh, you answered my comment. So a lot of these haters are actual fans of them. And I think Gary Vee has also taken this approach sometimes too. He'll respond in a really nice way, and they'll say, oh my gosh, thank you so much for saying that. Sorry, I was just having a really bad day. It's just people. It's just people that like aren't super mentally healthy right at this moment, you know?
My sister came in the room, so I was doing my best to like mute it so it doesn't interrupt the sound. But yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. And it's like, again, because you know me and this human design thing, because I'm kind of like trying to see, okay, how do people, because it's not like when I'm not reacting or responding to haters, I'm like, I don't have time for you. It's just like, I don't have the energy. Like even if I wanted to, I just know that if I give it energy, I'll be drained, and it's like, I can't.
Yeah, I didn't make that to, I didn't mean that to sound like, no, this is better. I think it makes I think your way makes a lot of sense. I think some people, I think other ways make sense for other people. But like, if you're able to just disengage and not answer, easy, you know?
Exactly. No, I love that. And I think, again, there are different ways of doing stuff. So it's kind of like, what's your way? What way works for you? As you said, you know, you have Amanda Francis's way, which could seem similar to yours, but there's a different energy around it. So at the end of the day, it's like, what feels good for you? And how do you want to handle it? You know, in a way that, again, liberates you, you know?
Yeah, totally. It's fascinating studying all of it. Seems like we get back, no, not in every episode, but often in like 50% of our episodes, I would say so far, it's us observing how we differ in how we handle what we're building. And that's
the beauty of it.
Yeah.
We're exploring them. That's what we're doing. So we're exploring, we're experiencing, coming back, sharing, giving feedback. Okay, this worked, this didn't work. Like, if I happen to catch myself doing it a different way, I'll come back and be like, guys, I actually reacted to this person's comment, blah, blah, I wonder what that, you know, and then process it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know?
Yeah, 100%. And I also change my shit, obviously, over time. What was I going to say? Oh, and of course, when you get to a certain amount of comments, there's no way in fucking hell I'm answering all of those at all. No. Or, you know, maybe at a certain point, I'm like, yeah, now that I'm dealing with this many people, there's no way I'm going to answer any of them anymore. Like, it's just not gonna, because the viewership is there. The amount of people answering is, I mean, I do think it's a really good platform for me to build content off of. So maybe I will still kind of engage with them, but there's going to be a point where I cannot answer all of them. And there may easily be a point where I don't have the energy to answer any of them anymore. I just look at them and then create the content.
Yeah. And I guess the interesting part with like the holistic psychologist part is like, at what point do you still need to engage, like monitor? Because someone could just form this story, and if we're looking at media as well, okay, again, not to create fear or anything, but it's like, at what point do you actually manage what people are saying? Because they could just fabricate this whole story and like it could go further than you even anticipate if you don't kind of shut it down.
Yep.
And it's an interesting one. It's kind of like, okay, when do you just like be like, okay, now you guys are on your own, and when do you, but I feel like they normally have PR. Like when you become that big, you gotta have someone to be on top of that and look at the comments and kind of come to you and be like, this is what's spreading. Is this something we need to deal with, or do we just need to let it go? It's like, nah, let it go, whatever.
Yeah.
Or no, we need to stop this now, because I feel like sometimes certain ideas can dampen who you are, and you don't want that kind of, you know, like imagine someone all of a sudden spreading this thing that, oh, you know, maybe like M is this, or M is like, or Ida is this, like all of a sudden they're like, oh, you know, did you know that this therapist is also a sex worker or whatever, like something weird like that, you know, where someone's just come up with this story and it's like, yo, whoa, you know? And so I guess that's why at some point Andrew Tate did like a 2 hours long video speaking out. And he's like, I wasn't going to do it, but I've got women in my life who I feel like this is beginning to affect, and it needs to stop now. And it actually stopped after that video, because he was like, he kept saying, no, I don't care. But there were people in his life who were like, this is affecting us too. Because, you know, people know we're related to you, and it's affecting us. It's like, we can't go anywhere without people pointing, oh, that's the sister. Oh, that's it. It's got to stop. And I guess that's a point where you're like, no, this is actually starting to affect my family and the people around me that I love dearly. It needs to stop.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah.
Was it just like how he treats women?
Oh, his situation in terms of like the women around him? No. So like he was saying women like his sister, you know, like family members were being affected by it as well, because people might point and be like, oh, that's him, that's a sister, or like
what is the situation that he needed to clear up though?
Oh, he cleared out a lot. So he was clearing up the fact that people are taking long form podcasts, like this long form podcast we've done. They will chop and just take little bits.
Yeah.
Where you were saying something out of context.
Yeah.
And then post it online. You know? So like missing all the context, because a lot of the conversations we've had, people can just chop and change and make us say something we were not saying.
Yeah.
And that's what, so he was addressing. So what he would do is he would play the long form video and say, this is the long form, and this is what was extracted out of it. Now do you get the full picture? Next. So he had to do a lot of that and like clarify like all of that. And it makes sense, because when all of a sudden you watch it, you're like, oh my God, okay. So this is where he was coming from. Oh my days, okay.
Right. And that's something that gets talked about too. Like when you become famous, people will just clip the stuff. And that's also the thing. I just feel like it's like, it has to be a balance of like, and I love this too. We're literally just talking about like what famous people have to deal with. Like, yes, people will take what you say out of context. Yes, at a certain point, you do have to stand up for yourself, I would imagine. But then I hear some people, and I also hear in rap songs, I'm also studying in lyrics, they'll say like, I just leave them in the dark. Like, I just don't say anything. And you know what, you can think, but then it's like, yeah, your family comes to you and then you have to just decide. You have to just decide. And I love like what Andrew Tate did. I think that makes a lot of sense. And like you said, after that, it gets better. So yeah, you have to be so strong.
this is not only affecting me, it's affecting the people I love. And when it affected people I love, that's when it pisses me off. So it's got to stop.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
I do respect that. I do respect that piece.
Is this you trying to honor your time and looking at the time?
Me?
Okay. I thought,
I was.
yeah, because at the start you're like, I'm trying to be more mindful of time. So I was like, is this M trying to find the best way to be like, okay.
Well, you do pick up on that correctly, because I do have to take this dog out now. So I do need to close down. I wasn't looking at the time in that moment, but yes, I do think it's a good time.
Yeah, the energy. I was like, she's a bit restless now. Okay.
Yep, that's correct. That was a correct feeling.
Cool. Yeah, as always, we come to like a natural, end, and yeah, it's beautiful, and I'm glad that we did this.
Same. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, I totally forgot about anybody who might watch later.
We did not get comments this time yet, but we will. And thank you if you're watching. There's some people that might be watching right now, actually, but yeah, we'll post it. The replay will be up for you. Ida, thank you. Yeah.
Can you?
It says 2 people are watching. I don't know if that's us or not.
Oh, no, I'm okay. That's interesting, isn't it? Let me see. Now, how many people did I say?
Yes.
That was me.
Thanks for your amazing work.
Oh, Charlotte was watching.
Yay. Oh, we do have watchers this time. We appreciate that, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah. All right, man.
But no, those 2 people were actually views.
Unique.
Not us.
Okay, perfect. Yay, good. Oh my gosh, we get viewers every time, man. This is awesome. Thank you guys for being here. We appreciate you so much. You can find us on Instagram or YouTube. I have to link our YouTube profiles to this profile.
I'm gonna do that to our link. But yeah, we gotta remember to also tell people, guys, when you're watching and you're loving it, don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
Yes, subscribe to us, like the video. It helps us so much to get this content out to others.
Yeah,
that's the goal. All right, girl.
All right, honey.
See you later. I love you. Love you guys.
Bye, guys. Catch you later.
Bye. Oh my God. No.